Well, the count is on, everyone. It's now day 43 of Bola Tinubu's presidency, and we are keeping tabs on activities and developments in his first 100 days in office. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Thank you for joining us on the program. Coming up on the show today, we're joined by Nigerian politician, businessman, and philanthropist, Chief Emmanuel Wanyawu, who is the President General Ohanaeze Ndigbo. He joins us to discuss insecurity in the Southeast and what President Tinubu should do differently. Remember, you can join the conversation now on Twitter. Let's have your feedback on the issues raised, as well as the first few weeks of the Bola Tinubu presidency. We ask the question, what's your assessment of President Tinubu's 1 month in office? Remember, use the hashtag first 100 days, tag at TVC News NG and at Nifemi Oguntoye. Let's begin from the National Assembly now, where President Tinubu has asked the Senate to confirm the appointments of the new service chiefs. The president's request was read by the president of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, during today's plenary. The service chiefs for screening and confirmation by the Senate include Major General Christopher Musa, Chief of Defense Staff, Major General Taoreed Lagbaja, Chief of Army Staff, and Rear Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, Chief of Naval Staff, as well as Air Vice Marshal Hassan Abubakar, who is Chief of Air Staff. The Senate President said the service chiefs will be screened by the Senate in the Senate chamber on a yet-to-be-announced date. Let's talk to a National Assembly correspondent, Tijesu Adeoye, who monitored proceedings earlier today. Tijesu, we hear the Senate referred Mr. President's letter to the Committee of the Whole, where the appointees will be required to appear for screening in the absence of relevant standing committees. What happens from here?
Femi, I'll tell you that this is coming quite timely because if you recall, sometime last week, the Senate held a debate, not following a motion on security matters, and the fact that it has festered for so long, with a lot of allocation being made to tackle insecurity and all the efforts being put, and yet there is no change, there is no positive change in this regard. So the Senate is worried and is concerned, and part of its resolution was to find a day to hold a special session where they will also call in this service chief. That's right before the letter of the president actually came in today. They actually resolved after that debate that they were going to invite this service chief to meet one-on-one with them and hear what their strategies will be, to tackle the effect of this of insecurity, and also to ensure that it's being nipped in the bud. Well, this actually would now provide them another opportunity, to hold that session. And from what we could recall from that debate, the president of the Senate actually said it's going to be an executive session, possibly an executive session. So we do not know if he's going to, follow through with that, but we would get to see how that will pan out in the coming days. But of course, this would afford them the opportunity to interact with this service chief, especially, also relate with them on how this insecurity has affected them and their people, and how, during the debate, you could see how they were lamenting and, complaining bitterly of how their people are being afflicted on a daily basis. Lives are lost, properties destroyed, people displaced. This will now give them that forum to come one-on-one and face with these service chiefs, and also to hear from their own point of view what they'll be bringing to bear and what new strategies they will be employing to ensure that, this thing of insecurity becomes a thing of the past, and,
right,
citizens can actually sleep peacefully with both eyes closed.
We're looking forward to that engagement with the new service chief. Some appointments were made earlier today for committee chairmanship roles. Walk us through the names, Tijesu.
Yes, I do not have those names right now with me, but 9 special committees were constituted ahead of when the 69 other standing committees will be constituted. These are actually couple special committees that require they require actually to be constituted at the moment. We have there's a special committee on media, there's a special committee on public accounts, special committee on Senate services. Even the appropriations committee was constituted with the chairman being Senator Adeola Olamilekon. He is the chairman of the appropriations committee. And why that committee was actually constituted now is because the Senate said for matters that will require issues for appropriation, it's important to have that committee in place as it stands. And so that is why you see that is one major committee that was constituted with the special committees. Aside that, also his deputy is going to be Senator Ali Ndumeda. That is the chief whip of the Senate. He is going to be deputizing Senator Olamileko. I do not have the names of other chairman of the committees right here with me, but of course when I get it, I will provide it to you, Nifemi. But
absolutely,
as it stands,
we also have
special committees
we have the names
scrolling, and
we have the names on the
in
screen.
Subsequent
yes,
Senate sittings, we would see the constitution of the 69 other committees, standing committees of the Senate.
We have the names showing on the screen, Tijesu. The Senate President visited Senator Yari, I believe, a few days ago. What are you seeing on the floor of the House as to the senators working together across both divides, aftermath what happened during the election?
Well, if you recall, the president of the Senate has said he is going to be a leader for all, and he has, been striving to ensure that he keeps to his words. Even during Senate proceedings, we could see where he tries to ensure that all sides are being heard and nobody is being marginalized, both from the opposition, both from his own side, from the APs, from the ruling side. You can see that he's trying to ensure that everybody is carrying along and nobody feels left behind. Even after, the election, you could see that he also has stretched out his hand, to his colleagues to ensure that, they work together and it is one Senate. He has emphasized the importance of lawmakers dropping aside all their differences, and focusing on the issues that affect their people. He has emphasized that aside politics is over, the elections are over, everything is over. What is in place now should be governance, because the people want a succor. They want succor to their problems, and it is only fair for them to do that which they have been elected for. And we could see all that playing out during plenary, during other, I think over the weekend, we could see one of the legislators from the FCC going to this flood area where flood ravaged that Lugbe area. She went out there to, as a form of an outreach and to assess the level of damage and also the situation.
It's
so
early days
that,
for the 10th Assembly, Tijesu. And we are counting on that fruitful collaboration along lines. We'll see how it plays out in the coming days. Correspondent at the Senate, Tijesu Adeoye, thank you so much for talking to us. After the break, we'll be talking to the President General Ohanaeze Ndigbo, Emmanuel Nwayawu, who will join us to discuss insecurity in the Southeast. Stay with us. Well, the spate of insecurity in the Southeast has drawn the attention of stakeholders in the region. After 4 hours of closed-door meeting, Southeast leaders yesterday resolved to seek an audience with President Tinubu on the security situation in the region. At the meeting, presided by President General Ohanaeze Ndigbo, Emmanuel Nwayawu, leaders across political party lines decided to work together for the good of the region. The zone has for years been reeling under a regular Monday sit-at-home enforced by criminals who attack markets, destroy property, and kill those who they accuse of violating the directive. I'm joined now by President General Ohanaeze Ndigbo, Chief Emmanuel Nwayawu, who is joining us to give more perspective to this development. But while we're working on that connection, let's take a look at some feedback we're getting on Twitter as we got the question we asked earlier about Mr. President's performance in the past few weeks in office. And it's been, an interesting development as to the comments we're receiving. For Stephen Plank, it says he may have hit the ground running on sound footing, but is yet to feel the suffering of the people. The cost of living, according to him, is very high. Hashtag first 100 days. I believe in President Tinubu's presidency to move the country Nigeria to greater heights in the eyes of the world, not Africa alone. Therefore, the president should make the right choice of his ministers, as there's no room for excuse again. Meanwhile, there's a constitutional provision for 60 days, and there's just about a few more than 20 days available for the president to make that decision. For at PH, the fact, 36th day of his first 100 days has been goodies on goodies. The monster of fuel subsidy gone, electricity bill to open up the sector signed, tax relief executive order delivered, appointment of Taiwo Yedele to head tax reform shows better days ahead. That's according to FM. And for Unweke Monday Anthony, it says the Tinubu administration is a dynamic one and permit me to say he has a better experience. He knows what to do at the right time. But the policy on fuel subsidy, according to him, is a no. And Jerry Ochada says President Tinubu is trying his best to revamp the Nigerian economy. His new tax law is a welcome development that must be applauded. Well, now quickly let's turn our attention to the President General of the Ohaneze Indigbo, Chief Emmanuel Umayanwu. Thank you so much for joining us on the program this evening. Let's begin very quickly with one of the many reactions trailing yesterday's meeting online. You know, there are some who have asked why such conversation wasn't held in Awka or Nnewi or any other state capital in the southeast. How do you respond to those who hold this position, and what informed the choice of Abuja?
Well, thank you very much for inviting me to this discussion. The fact is, the meeting, I summoned this meeting only to address the National Assembly. This meeting was basically to address the National Assembly, and you know, they have been on recess, and they just opened. And then I wanted to address them with the governors. And you see, there are so many, and governors are few. I think it's the only convenient place to address them. Very convenient is Abuja. Since they are based in Abuja, it is more convenient for a few of us to travel to meet them in Abuja.
Indeed.
So it was just for convenience, not for anything. All our meetings we have held so far were held in Enugu. Even when we received the British High Commissioner, we received them in Enugu. So we don't have any problem holding our meetings in Enugu or any part of the southeastern states.
Well, I think that answers the curiosity of those who have raised that question. Talking about the governors, 2 out of 5 Southeast governors were present at that meeting. How unanimous are the other governors on the decisions made yesterday?
Now, I don't blame the governors. The point is that, you see, I have been on tour Southwest, so I was very busy all through, and I will be going abroad very shortly. So I just wanted to talk to the National Assembly before I travel, and I didn't have too much time. And you see, by the time I invited the governors, some of them were abroad. Some of them have had some very serious commitments. But all of them came together under their leadership. They have a chairman of their forum, His Excellency Senator Hope Uzodinma. So all of them came and they told me that Governor Hope Uzodinma will represent them. I spoke to all the governors of the Southeast. And I want to say here that for the first time, I'm now heading Igbo land. I'm leading Igbo land where everybody is united, where the governors are united. So the governors now speak with one voice. So they mandated Hope Uzodinma to represent them at the meeting I had with the National Assembly. And Hope Uzodinma represented them very well. And in fact, even His Excellency, the governor of Ebonyi State was there. So there is the point, every decision taken is binding and is acceptable to everybody. Thank you very much.
So you mentioned that leaders in the Southeast have decided to work together, even across political line. But someone like the Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi was obviously missing at that meeting. Was he invited? What exactly is he involved in this arrangement?
No, he's not involved at all. This is purely Ohanese arrangement. And you see, I think there must have been an oversight in my office. My office. If P2B is invited, I'm sure he will attend. P2B is a very loyal and faithful citizen, a member of Ohanese Igbo. He's a member and he's very faithful and loyal. I haven't talked to him, but I believe that he didn't get a proper invitation. And that can be a fault from my own office. So I know that P2B have attended every Ohanese ceremony we invited him. And of course, that is why Ohanese supported him fully when he ran for presidency.
All right, Chief, let's talk about the resolution made yesterday. The meeting lasted as long as 4 to 6 hours thereabout, and you have resolved to make a representation to the president for his intervention in ending insecurity in the region. What form of intervention really are you seeking?
Now, I'm telling you that Nigeria is facing through a very serious crisis. We have never had it like this type of insurgency. Every part of Nigeria is a problem. And our own is even unique. When our own people are stopping our people from making their livelihood. So it's a very troublesome thing for us. They are blaming all this on the arrest and detention of Nnamdi Kanu. Now this has got out of hand. People are worried. That is why, if you notice, all leaders of Igbo land, the 5 governors, political leaders, even myself, as the leader of Igbos today, President General Ahmed Tinubu, I have joined in appealing to the president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to help us to secure the release of Nnamdi Kanu. When Nnamdi Kanu is released, we will now know who is a criminal, because we suspect that most of these people are criminals who are using Nnamdi Kanu's detention as an excuse to commit crimes. So once Nnamdi Kanu is reduced, if the governors now take, or the law enforcement agencies take serious action to attack the government or those engaged in this type of activities, nobody will blame them.
Chief, let me just butt in very quickly. So, talking about the appeal to have Nnamdi Kanu released, you mentioned yesterday that those killing and kidnapping can't say they are working for Biafra or Nnamdi Kanu. So if they don't work for Nnamdi Kanu and they don't answer to him, what do you think his release will foster peace in that region?
Well, the point about it is that this is the reason these people are giving. And then, of course, even we as a people, we have looked at the substance of Nnamdi Kanu's case. The judiciary in Nigeria has declared Nnamdi Kanu to be freed. We in Ohanese, we the Igbos, we are law-abiding citizens. We believe in the power of judiciary. If a judiciary has examined the case and said that Nnamdi Kanu should be released, we believe that any good government should release the person. When the judiciary says he should be released, and we have not been told any serious offense Nnamdi Kanu committed. Nnamdi Kanu has not been carrying any gun, has not been caught with AK-47. He has not been charged of murdering or killing anybody.
But there are video evidence of him inciting violence.
But let me tell you.
There are actually video evidence of him inciting violence in the East. You haven't seen any of them too?
What?
I said there are video evidence of him inciting violence, asking people to take arms and, cause mayhem in the country. You haven't seen that?
but he denies it. He denies it, and then that is the court has released him. If court has found him guilty, the court could have convicted him. The court could have jailed him, but the court has released him. We have in this country today people who have gone to Kuje prison and released people, released all people who have murdered Nigerians, killed Nigerians. Nobody has made any arrest. Nobody has done anything today. They're free. We have in this country today people who have gone and kidnapped people, derailed the train. Nigeria borrowed a lot of money in refurbishing our railway system.
All right,
Now,
Chief. Let me just bring this up very quickly because of our time.
People,
if you can hear me,
yes.
the court did.
So all I'm
the Court of
saying is that
Appeal.
you see,
The Court of Appeal did release him, but if you follow that story, the same court reverted and came up with a stay of execution, and that case is currently with the Supreme Court. But if you're following reaction to your meeting, which held yesterday, in response to that meeting, one Simon Ekpa, who's the factional leader of IPOB, announced a 2-week sit-at-home in the Southeast starting from 31st July. According to him, he says that it will be observed, or rather, yes, it will be observed to invalidate what he calls the illegitimacy of those who paraded themselves as Nigeria's representatives within Biafran territory. How do you react to that?
Well, the point about it, to be honest, I'm the leader of Igbos. I don't even know this man called Simon Ekpa. I don't believe any right-thinking Igbo or Nigerian. I don't believe any right-thinking Igbo or Nigerian who will stop his people from earning a livelihood, will stop them from going to school, will stop them from pursuing the occupation, will even go to kill them. I don't believe it. So I intend myself as a leader. I intend myself as a leader. I'll talk with him. I will, if possible, appeal to him. I will appeal to him as a father because, in my capacity, I'm the father of every Igbo person. I intend, if possible, to travel to wherever he lives, to go and see him, to appeal to him, to find out if and beg him, let him know that he's causing a lot of damage and harm to our people. Meanwhile, I know that, see, the governors may be tempted to use force.
Okay.
I will be very unhappy because, as a father, I don't want my children to be killed. I will be very sad if anything is done to kill my children. So it is better that they avoid it. And of course, if they continue, no government can fold his hands and see somebody living outside the country trying to give directives and stop everything, especially when it is not in interest of the people.
I'm afraid we have to go now, Chief Iwonyawu. But just very quickly, if you can, in a minute, you attempted to be president 3 times yourself. What's your, what's your reaction? How do you feel about the first 42 days of the Bola Tinubu presidency?
One thing is clear. Bola Tinubu's first first period, 42 days in office, is much better than what we saw in Buhari. Is much better because, you see, I'm talking now as Igbo leader. We have seen the appointments he made. We have at least an Igbo man in the defense metrics. So we have seen that there is consideration. So it looks to us that
it does seem the president.
It is clear to us that in case of Buhari was very hostile to us. But mark you, Buhari towards the end became very good. Buhari towards the end of his tenure did everything to reverse it. It was very good to our people. He opened up things like dredging of Buddha.
All right.
Brought a teaching hospital to Imo
All right.
in Ebonyi. He did a number of
We
things.
know exactly how you feel about the outgone president and what he did for the Southeast. I'm afraid that's our time. President General Ohanaeze Ndigbo, Chief Emmanuel Nwanyawu, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us on the program today.
Thank you very much.
And that's our program today. You can watch a repeat broadcast at midnight and at 6 a.m. tomorrow. I am Nifemi Ogunto. It's bye for now.